Hi, guys. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm pleased to be joined today by Michelle Penczak, who is the CEO of Squared Away and a Marine Corps spouse. Hi, Michelle. How are you today?
I'm fantastic, Sue. How are you?
Great. I've had such a great time chatting with Michelle in the green room. And one of the things that we hope is that you always read the highlights before you hear the interview. But in case you haven't, I just wanted Michelle to tell you guys a little bit about herself and about her journey and about her business, because I think it's going to be really important to this interview. So bear with us if you've already read her highlights, but I think it's really important for everyone to hear. So, Michelle, can you share a little bit about your military spouse employment journey?
I would love to. So, about 11 years ago, when I met my husband, it was a challenge to find a position as a military spouse, as I'm sure most of you have experienced at some point or another. So, I started working as a remote assistant and kind of transitioned in 2015 to having my own company, which became Squared Away. We are a remote executive assistant firm and we employ over 400 military spouses across the world. And we do a little bit of everything from basic project management to fundraising for all types of companies, from venture capitalists and their portfolio companies to individual consultants and entrepreneurs.
No, that is fantastic. And I love your journey, especially since you are still, your husband still is on active duty and you
Yeah.
have children and, like the ability to balance that through PCSs. That's been one of the questions we've been asking everybody is how has a PCS impacted your business? So I think that is just the coolest. I feel like we could talk about this all day, but I'm going to
Oh,
stay
yeah.
on point and ask you the three questions that I have on my sheet here. One of the things I read in your highlight that was really interesting to me is you reference the importance of having a trusted group of supporters. And as a fellow entrepreneur, I 100% agree with you on the importance of a kitchen cabinet, right? I mean, but for those people who are less familiar with the concept, can you share a little bit more about how such a group comes together and how they supported you in your journey?
Absolutely. So I love the term kitchen cabinet. So basically, they are your core group of your people who you already know and trust, and you implicitly also trust your business to. These are the people that, as your business grows, you may move them in and out based on their expertise and how well they align with you and your company's vision and values. It could literally be any type of form of support. They offer everything from strategic advice on key business decisions to helping you navigate challenges and obstacles that always arise as an entrepreneur. And they also provide feedback on your ideas and plans to kind of make sure that you're not driving off a cliff, so to speak. And they also help as serving as a sounding board for new initiatives that you might have.
No, and I love that. And if you are about to drive off the cliff, I find that they're the ones that are strapping you into your seatbelt to make sure
Yeah,
you land on the
exactly.
right.
They're the ones that you can go to them and say, "Okay, let me know if this is dumb or not," and have those really candid conversations.
Yeah, and I think I don't think we can underscore enough the importance of having a kitchen cabinet because I think when you're doing business, it's you're kind of on and you're always that face of your company, but like that kitchen cabinet, those are the people that you can really be honest with and they know you well enough to be really candid with you. And so I 100% agree with you. I think it's so important. I appreciate you talking about that.
Of course.
So I was really excited to talk to you because you're kind of bucking the trend in terms of, a lot of military spouses start businesses that they can scale once their service member retires or separates, right? Because there's nothing more heartbreaking than having to like pull chalk and then just close that business and then go to an installation maybe overseas or a less friendly installation where you can't even open up your business again. But you have started your business and then you scaled it. So scaling a business can be a bit of a daunting proposition for military spouses, because if your service member is still serving, I mean, we talked, there are some risks that you might have to close up. I mean, how were you able to start and scale a business while still moving around and living in the military lifestyle?
Oh my goodness. I think having plans A through Z is first and foremost the most important thing when having a business and scaling. And with Squared Away, I was able to scale it from North Carolina to Hawaii to California and now back to North Carolina. But the key initiatives that I focused on was flexibility, and dedication. So always being dedicated to the mission and making sure that Squared Away is always moving forward, no matter where my personal life is in transition. And get again, going back to that kitchen cabinet and leaning on them for support. And at Squared Away, we make sure that every single role feels valued and empowered, which makes working together across multiple locations super breeze. We have, like I said, we have assistants from Japan to Germany and everywhere in between. So as I was in transition, I was making sure that, planning ahead and being ready for anything and making sure that leaders within our team were prepared for A through Z options if I were to be offline. And also empowering them to make decisions on their own and not just waiting for me and, making me the bottleneck in Squared Away progressing while I was offline.
No, I love that. And, one of the things that I don't think I could talk about enough during our little short interview is you're one that really walks the talk. Like you hire military spouses. Like you created your company to provide opportunities for military spouses. So of course that just
Absolutely.
resonates with me. Um, but there are a lot of people out there who are reticent about hiring military spouses because I think they either think we're a liability or whether it's because they think we're going to move before, a different employee would move. But what would you say to those people who are hesitant to hire military spouses?
I would start off by kind of trying to reframe the mindset. So I think a lot of employers are in the mindset of, the 1950s military spouse that's home cooking, cleaning, taking care of the kids while their husband's deployed. And that's kind of their sole role. So shifting the mindset of that's what a military spouse is has been a huge challenge. And what I would say to them is you're missing out on a absolutely remarkable pool of talent. We have assistants at Squared Away who have PhDs, who have master's degrees in a multitude of arenas. They're resilient, adaptable, and incredibly dedicated to what they're doing. They are so ready, willing, and able to jump in, highly educated. By hiring military spouses, you're not just supporting them as an individual, you're gaining a valuable asset for your team. You're supporting them and their families, and you're supporting an amazing mission, which is to employ as many military spouses as possible. And not to plug statistics, but I'm going to be that person. Military spouses are at an unemployment rate of 23%, which is the highest of any unemployment pool of anyone in the US right now. So I am always for and ready, willing, and able to help a military spouse.
Yeah, and that's like over 6 to 7 times the national average, so it's just, like I think we do need to keep plugging that number because I think we just need to keep reminding people about why it's important to keep talking about these issues and why it's important to continue to hire military spouses. And I also think that bottom line, military spouses are good for the bottom line. I
They
mean,
are. I have never worked with a more dedicated talent pool of people. They are tenacious. They have grit unlike any other. Like military members are amazing, but military spouses are a completely different breed of people. They are absolutely incredible at what they do. And there is no, oh, sorry, this doesn't work. We're going to find a way to make it work somehow,
or,
always.
"Oh, I'm sorry, that's not in my job description."
Yeah, yeah, that line I don't think has ever been uttered at Squared Away in 7 years because we
No.
kind of find a way.
I know I was watching a video of somebody who was like, I had to put up drywall. I'm not a drywall expert, but it had to be done and I had to do it. So I figured it out. I'm like, oh yeah, been there, done that, like every time
Oh,
murder
yeah.
strikes, right? So you're absolutely right. And I mean, I love this and I think we could chat forever, but in the interest of brevity, and I want to make sure that everybody watches this to the end, I think what I'm going to ask you is your closing thoughts and words of inspiration for other military spouses who might want to follow in your footsteps, start a business, persist, and scale. Do you have any parting thoughts for them?
Absolutely. I hear this all the time. Like, I want to do this business and I don't know what's next. I feel like I have 30 steps in order to move forward. The timing will never be right. Like, there's never going to be a perfect time to start a business. The best way that I can say to get started is to just dive in. You never know what you don't know. It might be easier, it might be more difficult, but you never know until you start. So just take the plunge, get plugged in with as many military spouse entrepreneurial groups. Reach out to our team. We are super ready, willing, and able to help. So just find your kitchen cabinet, find the people who support you, and, just dive in.
Thank you, Michelle. I really appreciate that. And I can't wait to learn more about Squared Away. And I hope everybody goes onto the website and reads your highlight. And I just want to thank our friends over at USAA for making these conversations possible. It is so awesome to actually hear from other military spouses who are doing such amazing things in all sorts of industries. I mean, I don't know about you. I mean, you were saying that you were catching up on some of these highlights. And I mean, it's so inspirational because it's nice to see that we have military spouses in every industry out there, and they're not just, like at entry level. They're all over the place. Like you are a business owner who employs over 400 spouses. There are other people who are highly placed in government. So we hope that you're being inspired. And if you have a story that you'd like us to tell, I hope that you will also apply for your own highlight because we would love to tell your story. But with that, I will say thank you so much, Michelle, for joining us today. And thank you all for joining us for coming to listen to Michelle's story. And we hope that you'll be back here next week. Until then, see you later. Bye, guys.